Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Working with Microsoft Lists. We have a lot to show you today. If you're new to Microsoft Lists, you haven't yet seen it, you're going to see it all. If you've seen a few things with what we've provided to date with disclosure or when we started to roll out in late July, just recently, I can't wait to see that, if you've already seen this, you get a sense of what more you can do because Harini, Miceile, and Chax will show you the full breadth of what you can do with Microsoft Lists to make them your own and to help you track your information. Quick introductions. My name is Mark Kashman, and I'm a senior product manager on the Microsoft 365 marketing team. And I work with all of these peers to help market and bring to market all the information around Microsoft Lists. But I want to turn it to introduce everybody that will be presenting today. First with Harini Saladi. Harini?
Hello, my name is Harini Saladi. I'm a program manager on the List team, and I own the Microsoft List app and the new list creation experiences that I'll walk you through today.
And next we've got Miceile Barrett. Miceile.
Hi, I'm Miceile Barrett. I'm a program manager on Microsoft Lists, and I own the experience of getting your metadata into the list and ways that you can leverage that to view your data in meaningful ways. And I'll walk you through the newest features we have in that area today.
Excellent. And Chakkaradeep Chandran, Chax for short. Chax, introduce yourself,
Mark.
please. Yeah.
I'm Chakkaradeep, Chax, for folks that know me very closely. I'm one of the PMs in SharePoint Experiences team working on building productivity apps using List and Power Platform. So ranging from no-code solutions to low-code solutions using List.
Thank you all, presenters, for joining, and attendees, you're in for a whirlwind. This is going to be a very packed 60 minutes. I will start with just a little bit of framing so that you know what Microsoft Lists are, how we've built and designed them, and then really to get to the point of showing you the product with our three other presenters. First, we really want to get across the point that leveraging and using Microsoft Lists are simple. If you've used SharePoint Lists, which Microsoft Lists are an evolution of, you already know how to work with lists, and they've gotten even easier. It's easier to create. You'll see today creating a list, especially using some of our ready-made templates. They're easy to share, and it's really easy to track information with anyone and on any device. Our intent is that we don't want to limit the who you are, where you are, or how you're working with lists on what device. We want them to be simple and easy to use. But they're also powerful and smart in the context of keeping everyone in sync. There's a new experience for Microsoft Lists in Microsoft Teams. It's a new Lists app, and we will show you that, and you will see how easy it is to have the content alongside the conversation. And in addition to that, a lot of where Miceile will focus is to show you a lot of how you can work with conditional formatting, working with rules, working with the new quick edit experience to make the list work for you to do what it is that you're intending based on different status changes, changes of ownership, changes of dates, those kinds of things. And then we'll round it off at the very end with the flexibility. Lists are super flexible already today, and they got even more flexible, both in what you can do with lists just themselves, how you can customize the list, how you can build out rules for notifications, and how you can work with the forms to customize the forms and make them appear and are usable as you need them. The real value also in flexibility is our continued integration with the Power Platform so that you can further customize forms with Power Apps and further customize flows and build out dynamic flows, oftentimes with a lot more complexity with Power Automate. So to move us through, I want to hand off to Harini to first talk about how lists are simple. Harini?
Thank you so much, Mark. I do have a few slides which I'll run through quickly so I can spend more time on the product demos. So let's get started. So just elaborating on what Mark just talked about, Microsoft Lists is an M365 app that helps you track information and organize work for your team. With a list, you can track any kind of data, be it issues, assets, routines, contacts, inventory, and much more. And then you can visualize this data in different ways. We have some out-of-the-box options like card and calendar views, but you also have the power to create your own customized views that work best for the data in your list. And you can also configure your list with filters, custom formatting, smart rules and alerts to keep everyone in sync and on track. And the best part is that lists go with you wherever your work is. It can be on the web or mobile, in SharePoint or Teams, and you can even import a table from Excel, which is awesome. So we can move to the next slide. So one of the brand new ways to get started with a new list is to use our ready-made templates. We are rolling out 8 templates to start with, and each template comes with predefined structure and formatting that will help you jumpstart a common information tracking scenario. I'll talk a little bit more about what each template does as I'm demoing them, but let's dive right into the demos at this point. So just give me a second to kind of get started and get set up. Give me a second. So one of the easiest or quickest ways to get started on using the Microsoft List app is through the M365 app launcher that looks like this. And you can see the List app right here. I use it pretty frequently. I have it above the fold, but if you don't see it there, you can go into all apps and search for the List app here and it will show up. Go ahead and pin it so it is always available to you in the app launcher. This is my view of the List app. You're looking at my favorite list and my recent lists. The recent list section that you see here, it shows all of the lists that I've recently accessed or created, and it's a combination of my shared lists and personal lists. Here you can see that I have this list called the Work Progress Tracker, and it lives in the List Experiences team site. And apparently I last accessed it 6 hours ago. I can click on it. And when I click into it, I can easily access all of the information within it. I can go ahead, work on it, and then I can click on the list tile on top on the suite nav to get back to my list homepage. The favorite section that you see up here contains all the lists that matter the most to me. And they are the lists I want easy access to when I come back to the List app next. In order to, favorite a list, all I need to do is I can hover over any list that I want. I can click on this favorite star right next to the list, and it shows up in the favorite section. If I don't want it to be in the favorite section anymore, I can go ahead and click again and it gets removed. It's as simple as that, but it's also super powerful because it allows me to personalize this page for myself. The next thing is being able to create a list. That is one of the biggest advantages of having the List app, is that you can easily get started on lists right from here. So to create a list, you just need to click on this New List button right here. From here, you have multiple options to get started. The first one is the blank list option, which allows you to create a list from scratch. With this, you can define your own structure, formatting, and data. Then you have the From Excel option, which allows you to, upload an Excel file, or you can even choose a list directly. You can choose an Excel file directly from your ODB. And then you can choose the table of data that you want to import into the List app. The third option is the From Existing List option, which is great if you want to use the structure, formatting, and business rules of a list that is already in use. And then we have the template section. Like I already talked about, we have 8 ready-made and first-party templates that are going to roll out with the List app. You should be seeing them. And then each of these templates comes with predefined structure and formatting that helps you jumpstart a common information tracking scenario. And you can use these templates as is, or you can allow them to inspire you, and you can add upon their structure, change up the schema, formatting, anything else you need to do to suit your information tracking needs. So I'm going to go ahead. There are a bunch of these here: issue tracker, employee onboarding, event itinerary, but I will go ahead and choose the issue tracker here. Once I select this template, I get to a quick preview of what my list is going to look like. As you can see, all of the schema is available. There is a priority column. There is a status. There is, when the issue was reported and how many days old it is. And as you can see, there is a bunch of formatting that is associated with the data as well. And when you create a list from this template, you will get all of these from the get-go. Before I actually go ahead and create that list, I wanted to quickly do a roundup of each of the templates that you're seeing here. So like I said, the issue tracker template can be used to track, manage, and bring issues to a close because it makes it really easy for you to set priorities and status of issues that are being logged in your system. And you can also send notifications to team members who are getting assigned to these issues so they can stay on track of their work. Then we have the employee onboarding template, which makes it really easy for you to manage your new employees onboarding process and guide them through relevant contacts and resources. So you can set when they should complete a particular work item by, and you can allow them to mark off things that they have already completed. And you can assign mentors to them for each task that they're performing. So this is really great for your new employees that are getting, just getting started in your team. Then I have the event itinerary template here, which, it helps you organize all of your important event details in one place. Um, and make sure that everything is running smoothly. In this particular list, you can also toggle to the calendar view that gives you a pretty clear picture of event activities over time. You can look at it from a month, week, or day perspective. Then we have the asset manager template that helps you keep track of physical assets that your team is using. So you know which asset is in repair, which asset is, what are the check-in and check-out dates for your different assets. And also, for this particular list, because the picture or the image of the asset is like a important column, you can toggle this list into a gallery view to represent the same data that you're seeing in this list view in a more visual way. And then I have the recruitment tracker, which allows you to manage your recruitment pipeline really easily. You can look at each candidate, what position they're applying for, what's the status of their application, which recruiters they're working with, and so on. So this is a pretty sweet template as well. We have a couple more for travel requests, work progress tracking, and content scheduler. But for the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and choose the issue tracker. I can click on use template. And then I have created this list before, so I'm just going to go ahead and name this. Then I can go ahead and add a description for this list. And because this is a template, it comes predefined with a color and icon, but I'm free to go ahead and choose a different color and icon if I want to. And then we come to this part where, I can choose where I create this list. So I have two options. One is the My List option. So essentially, this creates a list that only I can see until I decide to share the list with other people. This option is great when you want to work on your own to set up the list and later share it with your coworkers when you're ready to collaborate on it. Or you can create a list in any of your M365 group connected team sites that you can see here. I have a bunch of sites that I use quite often. And this is great if you already have a team up and running and you want the list to be available to all of the team members of that particular team from the get-go. For now, I'm going to go ahead and create this as part of my as a personal list. So I'll go ahead and click on create. So as you can see, the list has been created. It has all of the schema that is associated with, that you saw in the template preview. Let me see if I can quickly add some data to it. I have a pre-existing list. I can quickly copy that. I'll come back. And so here I am. Let me add the data to it. Oh, well, didn't save, but essentially, like as you can see, all of the formatting that I had shown you previously kind of came through as well. So that's pretty cool. And when I go back to my lists app, you can see that this list that I had just created is right here in the recent list section. And right underneath the name of the list, you have it's indicated that it is part of my list, which means that it is a personal list. And if you want to view all of your personal list in one place, you can easily do that by toggling your recent list and going into your My List section. So this is a place where all of your personal lists are located. I can go ahead and sort them to the latest created list, and there it is. The one that I just created is right there. Toggling back to my recent lists. As you can see, I have these two lists. They kind of look like the same, but I want to be able to differentiate this one from the previous one I had created. So I can easily go ahead, click on more options and customize this list. It says issue tracker and webinar. I'm not going to change the title, but I have the option to change it. I do want it to be green in color, and maybe, I don't know, I just want it to be represented with a cube. So I'll go ahead and change that, and I save. And the change is immediately evident. You can see that the change happened. But now I feel like this list is ready to be handed off to my teammates, Jax and Miceile. So I'm ready to collaborate with them on this. So I'll go ahead, choose more options, and click on share. It shows up, oh, sorry about that. It shows up this sharing dialog that you might be you might have seen in the past. It's the same sharing dialog. I have like 3 different levels of control here. I can either give my teammates full control over the list, which means that they can configure, edit, or share the list, or I can give them only edit access, which means that they can only add items to the list, but they can't share the list or change the schema. And finally, I can just give them view access, so they should only be able to view the list. But I mean, I want Jax and Miceile to add more information to this list, so I'm going to give them full control. Going ahead, typing out their names, and then I'm going to click grant access. And this should have sent an email to Miceile and Jax, using which they can click in and open the list to be able to collaborate with me on. So that's the end of my demo. I'm going to hand off to Miceile now, and she's going to show you a bunch of cool other cool options as well.
So while Miceile gets set up, I just wanted to remind everybody that we are answering questions on the back end, but we have a full Ask Microsoft Anything just shortly after in the tech community. We'll have a link at the end. And I also wanted to make a note with a few questions that are coming through that this session is being recorded and will be made later through the Microsoft Tech community. Miceile, off to you. And Miceile, we just need to unmute.
I was saying a lot of good stuff. Thank you for the reminder, Mark. So Harini just shared this list with me, and I got an email letting me know that this issue tracker has been shared with me, and what we're looking at is actually the email that I received. I can go ahead and open this list and start adding the issues that I've found. So Harini's really helped me out by setting up this list. She has a couple of issues that she's found, but I have about 5 that I've been keeping mental notes of and even jotted a few down in an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm super excited to go ahead and start adding the errors that I found. So the first one I have is, my dialogue error is out of date. Description, I'll wait for a little bit later. I can go ahead and set that priority to normal. It's not anything super critical. The status is new, and it is going to be assigned to me. So I'm going to type myself in there. And the date that this was reported was last week. So I can go in and choose last week. And I am now creating the items. So the other 4 issues that I have, I actually already had written them down. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste them into this experience here. And so we see them getting resolved super fast. Looks like I don't have an owner for the autocorrect deleted items. So I'll go ahead, and it actually is going to be owned by my manager, Lincoln Damaris. And that's awesome. Now, one thing I can do to make this even easier to view is go into this and select my fixed height row. And what this does is makes every single vertical distance on the items the same pixel. So it makes it really uniform and super fast to see. Now, the entire point of this list is to get these issues tracked, worked on, and then fixed. So to do this, I really want to understand what the top priority is. And so, of course, some of our favorite list features are still here to help us with things such as group by. So I can go in, I can simply group by the priority and really easily see the items that are critical, high, low. And then our favorite feature of filtering, to be able to show our data in more meaningful ways. So I can actually filter by Harini, who we just heard from here. And I see that she has a couple of issues that are assigned to her. 2 of them are actually critical. And so I can go through and I can actually save this view so that Harini can come back to it and always see her items in the most important order. So I can save it as Harini's group by priority. I can hit save, and that's great. In addition to these features that we've seen before, we have new views and intelligence coming out to make it even easier to see your data in more meaningful ways. So the first one I want to show is being able to view these items in a card view. So I can go down and click on Gallery. And when I go here, notice, without even doing anything, the grouped by remains, and we can see these items in a card format. Now, I want to go in and actually customize what these cards look like. So I can format the current view, and I see I have a card designer. When I go in and edit, I can actually choose what appears, what order it appears in, and if I want to show previews on certain things. So if I didn't want to show the preview of pictures, I could take it away. I personally really like the picture, and I want to show the preview of who it's assigned to. So right there, we see the beautiful picture of Harini, who owns these issues. And I'm going to go ahead and actually add more information so we can see how old the bug is and when it was reported. And the days old is super important to me, so I'm going to drag and drop to the top so that it's right there, front and center. The last thing I can do to edit this is go in and change the settings so that the column names are not appearing. In this example, I think I prefer having them, so I'll go ahead and leave them on. I can go ahead and hit save, and now I can actually save this as the view, and I can even make it a default view. Now, I also want to view all of these items. I'm going to go back to my all items view. I want to view all of these different items in a calendar view. One of the most important things about getting these issues tracked and on track to get fixed is actually seeing when they're reported and what the status is. So I'm going to show a new UI that we have coming out where I can create a new view. From here, I'm going to go ahead and name this calendar view of our issues. And instead of showing it as a list, I'm going to pick calendar. And now you'll notice I have a couple of options on which date I want to be on that calendar. The date reported is what it is right now, and it's actually what I want to keep. But I could use created or modified, or if I had any more date fields, I could also use them. The last thing I can choose is what is the data that will appear on the calendar. I am going to keep it as title, but if another column was more interesting, such as issue description, you could choose that and it will appear on the calendar. So now when I hit create, we see this calendar view, and I can go in and actually look at the day. And over here on the right, you'll see all of the different bugs that were opened on this day. I can actually click in and look at that bug directly in the form where I can continue to edit items or access them in any way that I want to. And so this calendar view will let me flip through the different months so I can see when all of these different items are there, which makes it super awesome to look at. And of course, if I don't want to see the preview, I can minimize that to get a full screen exposure. So all right, I got a couple of views set up. I have one that'll help Harini be productive. I have one that will help us look at the calendar. The last thing I want to do is apply some logic to my list so that it's super easy to see which items are at risk of not getting fixed. I'm going to do this with some conditional formatting. I can go in and edit my current view. Oh my. I mean, format my current view. I have a couple options in here. I can do a visual alternating row style, but I really want to add some more logic that will appear when certain conditions are met. So when I go in, I can see that from Harini's template that she already created, we have this awesome condition set that if a status is blocked, we want to show it as red. I'm going to go ahead and add a new rule here. So I'm going to say if status is equal to new, and you can use if and or statements. I'm going to use and if the days old is greater than or equal to 5 days, so basically if it hasn't been touched in a week, then I want it to appear as yellow because it's potentially at risk of not getting investigated fast enough. So as we go through, we see all of my items that are listed as new, and they are more or 5 days old. And we see we have quite a few here. So I'm going to go in and this one rename fails has been open for 6 days. And this one down here has been open even longer. I'm going to go in and actually leave a comment on these items to help get some traction so that people can respond back and see why this isn't being investigated yet. So I'm going to say, any idea why this isn't in progress yet? And I can leave this comment, and as soon as I do, you'll notice over in the list this purple box that appeared. This indicates that there's a comment on the list item. So when Harini comes back to the list or Chaks comes back to the list, they'll see that and can simply open it and access the comment that I left and reply with their response. So I'm going to hand it off to Chaks now to show how you can use a lot of power to make this list do even more for you.
Thanks, Michaela. I'm going to, so before we go into the demos, I think we want to talk about how we take the data that you see in the list and make it even more engaging to your users, right? So it's great that we're able to format, we're able to provide the conditional views so people are able to come into the list and get familiar with what is going on. But personalizing your list also makes it easier for your users to go deeper into showcasing what the list is about and how they can be informed about the changes. So here we're going to specifically look at some of our new features, which is coming up with list rules, which is an easy and intuitive way for end users to craft certain if then else conditions and keep everyone informed about the changes. And we're going to take a little bit around the customizing the forms with JSON code, which is usually focused on power users, but gives you tremendous capability to configure the list form so that you can add more information for someone viewing the item in a list. And then we're going to take it to and customizing a Power Automate flow that can do even more for your users to take the list data and create something or other services and interacting with other services. So with that in mind, let's jump into the demo. I'm going to share my screen here in a moment. Awesome. So here's the list that Harini shared with me. And then you can see that I have the default list here that gives me all the information about all of the items here. I'm going to exit quick edit. That's one of the things that you can do. If you don't like quick edit, you can always have the option to exit and come down to the default view that you had always with the SharePoint list. So here you can see I have a list item here. This is great. I can get details about critical, in progress, and many different fields that are really important for me as a user. But I want the team to be more productive. I want team to understand that whenever something goes, a priority is critical, then I do want to send an email to the assigned to owner column here. So for example, in this case, you can see it's high and it's assigned to Michaela. But if it's actually going to be marked as critical, I do want Michaela to be informed about that because it's very important for the team to understand which issues go to critical. So for that, yes, I can go build a flow. I can go do numerous things today, but we want to make it simpler for end users to work with this. So if you go into automate, you will have a new option, create a rule and manage rules. This feature is currently not yet available, but we are hoping to release this feature in the next month. So when you click create a rule, it gives you 4 options today to notify someone when things change. And that relates to column changes or column value changes to something, when a new item is created, and when an item is deleted. So you have those 4 scenarios that you can help track and keep users informed. In this case, I want to the assigned to owner to be notified when the priority column changes to critical, right? So that accounts to a column value changes to something. I'm going to click that and I get this intuitive sentence like UX that helps me to go craft this rule and decide who to send the email. So when I say when choose a column, when I click on it, I get all of the columns here. So I'm going to choose priority. And when I choose a condition, you can see that it gives me to choose between is and is not. In this case, I do want to see if priority is. And when I tap in the value, you can see it gives all of the value available for this choice column. So here I can say when the priority is critical, right? So depending on the type of the column, you get different options here. So for example, if you say you chose the date reported, now since it is a date column, you get many different options to configure here. And one of the things I really like is you can even check if the date is between 2 different dates. And you can choose whether that is today or you can choose a specific date. So that's also more options available depending on the column type. So here, let me go back to my priority is critical. And then I want to send email to either here I can type a name, but really the power of this rule is to enable you to select a column and then email the person in that column, right? So it lists all of the suggestions from this list that are the person columns. So you can see I already have assigned to column here, issue logged by column, as well as the person that created by and modified by. So I can say send email to assigned to owner here. Now I can create a list. So now what this will do is it will create the rule and keep the rule active. So now I can go back to my list. I can go back to this item and I'm going to change this to critical. And as soon as it's saved, within few minutes, Michaela should be able to, Michaela will get an email saying that someone actually changed the item's priority to critical. Michaela, let me know if you got your email and we can even share how the email looks. So while that is going on, I do want to go to the next step of configuring the forms. The default form, what you see here, is great for initial use, right? So it gives you all of the list one by one. And then it also renames, it has the title rename fails as the title of the form. But what if you wanted to have some header, so this can be pleasing to users and really know that this is an issue that we are talking about here. So if you want to do that, you can, as a list owner, go to this button here, where we have all of the editing options for the form. So you can see we have edit columns, configure layout, and even customize with Power Apps. So today we are focused on configure layout and edit columns. So first, let's go look at the configure layout to see how I can configure a header, footer, and a body. So here I can see as soon as I edit the configure layout for this form, I get 3 options: apply formatting to header, body, and footer. The header and footer are divs that you can do just like you do your column formatting and view formatting in your list. If you're very familiar with the JSON configuration that you use to format a column or a view, this is exactly the same. It just applies to the header of the form and header of the footer instead of the column and the view here. Of course, this today requires JSON code, but we have plans to make this a UX based so that end users can come in and without writing JSON code can configure header, footer for their form. But initially, we are launching it as a power user feature. So I'm going to grab some code here that I have, the JSON that I built for this. And now I have my JSON here. I can preview, save, or cancel. So let me preview this, and there you go. So now I get more information delivered to the user. So I have a header, I have an icon, there's this issue icon, and I also have the title of the issue. So you can see that I can have all this configuration done with JSON without deploying any code, but as a power user, with my knowledge of configuring a column or a view formatting, how I do that, I apply the same thing here to configure the header. Now I can save this. And then for the footer, actually, I can move to footer, and I have a sample here for my footer as well. I'm going to paste that here, and I'm going to preview it. And you can see that I have more options here to provide users around, learn more about submitting issues. So if you have any links that you want users to educate on, or something that you want to put in the footer, it gives you that opportunity to put that into the footer. So I'm going to save this now. So the body, unlike the header and footer, allows you to just focus on restructuring the fields rather than taking over the entire body. So for example, this is great with a single column view, but what if I want to change it to multi-column and focus on associating different columns to sections? So I can now do that. So I can go to my body here, I'll grab this code, and I can paste this here. And as soon as now I preview this, you can see that I get issue and issue description at the top. Then I have a section called status, and I have priority status and assign 2 columns there. And then linked items, I can have other options over there as well. So now I can save this. So these are some of the different configuration options we're bringing up to configure the list form. Of course, the JSON here, right now you can't see it, but once we release this feature and make it available, we'll have documentation covering all of the details here, how to configure it. So now, if I go back to my list and open this up, you can see that I have the issue configuration, the form configuration with all of the forms. If I refresh this, which is a bug right now, you'll actually see the form in a much better view going across the screen so that you get more real estate to go view all of the details here. Now, if I do want to somewhat move columns around, right? So I created the sections, I want to move columns around. Let's say the days old column needs to be in the status. I can just now use edit column and then move it across there. And once I save it, you can see that that column will now be part of the status column. The other thing here that you saw was the days old column was not is grayed out here. The reason is that this one has a conditional formula in it that is only show up when the priority is critical. So if I click the 3 dots here, I have edit conditional formula, and in there you can see I have the formula here again, a JSON expression that talks about if the priority column is equal to critical, then true, meaning that the column will be shown to the user in the form. False, the column will be hidden for the user in the form. Again, this is a power user feature. If you click the learn to use conditional formulas, we have documentation for all the field types that how the formulas work. And we will also be prioritizing building a user interface for this to manage rather than just sticking with the formula. So now if you go to a different list, and in cases where it's not critical, let's say, for example, this list, animation, missing, you don't see the days old column here because the priority is set to low. Now, as soon as I change the priority to critical, you can see the days old column comes back here. So that's how you can do conditional formatting as well, along with configuring the form, header, body, and the footer. Now let's go to the flow. This is all great, but how can flow help me go further than just using rules and not using the forms as well? But there's something more. For example, if somebody marks the status as won't fix, and if the priority is also critical, I want to create a bug for engineers to go and investigate, right? I'm using a list here, but engineers may be using some other system like Azure DevOps to track bugs and assign bugs to engineers. So I built a flow around that. So for example, let me see if this works. So I have already built the flow, I've deployed it. I'm going to go to this issue, and I'm going to change the status to won't fix. And then I'm going to save that. Now, what this should happen behind the scenes is a flow should run behind the scenes, understand that the status was changed to won't fix, and that the priority value is critical, send me a Teams message. And let's see if I get a Teams message anytime soon here. And then once I get a Teams message, I will have an option to create a bug. And once I say yes, create a bug, it will actually go and create a bug in my Azure DevOps board that I manage with my engineers. So to quickly check if the flow actually ran, I'm going to go check the flow run here. There you go, it's actually running. I should get a card here. There you go, I got a card here. Issue change to won't fix. The issue, gives me all the details about that. And now I can have two options, create bug or ask for more details, right? So I'm gonna, for this demo purpose, I'm gonna create the bug and say this is critical as it is a feature we want to support. And then I'm going to hit submit. So now this is going to, once it works, it's going to now submit this back to my flow saying that user chose that option, created a bug, and then I also get, and immediately the flow runs and gives me back a bug was created, right? So I can actually now either open the link here, or I can go to my DevOps board here. And if I actually refresh this page, you should see the bug created here in the DevOps board. There you go. There's the bug that I created, right? So, and really good way for me to now take the list data, focus on what the list data and how it changes, and then use a Power Automate flow to go automate it even further that can benefit my, my everyday productivity that I do with my list. Now, if you look at the flow, it's actually simple enough for people to go build because it's based on conditions. We have a new trigger now that focuses on just modifications. So now I am able to target this list to only get my flow run when an item is modified. So that's what this new trigger is. And you can see that I'm able to also point to the OneDrive of Harini because it was shared by Harini's personal list. And I can put that in my site address here and then select the list that I'm working with. And then I have a new action that can work with this when an item is modified trigger, that is get changes for an item. Now, what this does is it will give you the changes for that item since the last flow check. So now you can check if what columns were modified and then specifically look for that column change. The only caveat here is that you need to have versioning enabled. So I do have versioning enabled in my list that allows me to go back to the history of the item to get the changes for that particular item I'm requesting from this flow. So you can see I have the ID, and here for since and until, I can use a particular interval time, even a constant date. But in this case, I'm going to be depending on my flow run. So I have a token coming up with this trigger available, and I use that to build a time interval for when to get changes until what time interval I need to get changes for this item. And then I'm going to check if the column was updated. In this case, you can see that once I enter this for the dynamic content from the get changes item, I have all of the column, has column change ID, has column change title. In this case, I'm selecting has column change status that will specifically look for if the status column was changed. And now that I'm checking it if it is true. If it is true, I'm checking what's the value of the status column. Well, if it is won't fix, and if the priority is critical, I post a choice of options as the flow bot to a user. So there is an action here that can let me build a card that I can post to a Teams to a user with the options that I want to provide, right? And here's the message and all of the things that I want to put in that action. And once the user clicks an action, I can say, hey, what was the selected output? If the selected output was create bug, then go create a work item in the Azure DevOps and then post a message as a flow bot to a user. It's pretty simple, right? It's just following what I want to build. And with the flow, I build that very easily by going through and adding these respective actions. So that way, now a simple thing that you did with rules and form configurations, the Power Automate takes it to the next level to configure it even more to be more useful to your team. So that was my demo around the rules, the formatting options, and Power Automate flow. So as well as, Mark, do you want to open the slides?
Yep, I've got the slide teed up, and we have one special extra demo for everybody that will queue up after Chax covers the Power Platform.
Awesome. That's a nice surprise that we didn't know, Mark. Yeah, so of course, we only have very limited time today. And then we showed you about flows, but there is always more things that you can do with List and Power Platform. So some things that we didn't cover today is especially the integrations with Power Apps, as well as some of the integrations with existing Power BI connector that we have, right? So there's a lot of integrations with Power Platform that we do today, and we just don't have time to cover everything, but I would urge you to go look at those integrations. Now, for SharePoint users that are working with List and having questions around, will Microsoft List support this, the same capabilities with Power Platform? Absolutely. Microsoft List are SharePoint List Evolve. So we are taking what we have today and then adding more features that applies across the board. So if you were able to build a flow and a Power App and a custom form today, we have the same capabilities available with the Microsoft List as well. And over to you, Mark.
Excellent. Great job, Chax. Thank you, Miceile, and thank you, Harini. We are going to pull Harini back in because the last thing that we want to show you is all of the list capabilities in the context of Microsoft Teams. We're going to show you just that creation experience, and I'll hand it to Harini as she gets ready here. I do also want to tackle two of the common FAQs that are coming through the chat. One is just, when are lists coming to my tenant? I don't see it yet. What do I need to do to get it? And the real honest answer is we've just begun rollout to our targeted release customers in Microsoft 365, and that should be complete by the end of this month. So by the end of August 2020, we'll be in full targeted release rollout. Then we'll start to go into full production, which means another couple of weeks. And by the end of October 2020, our intent is to then be in full production rollout. We'll keep everybody apprised through the tech community in terms of progress, and certainly the team that you're seeing here demo and share information about lists are behind the scenes making sure that it's rolling out on time and you're getting all these features. The other thing is, this is kind of in the vein of the same question. I'm a government agency. Will the GCC or the forms of government plans in Microsoft 365 be included? And I made an announcement within the chat. You can read a little bit more about this full rollout, but it does include our government SKUs. So in terms of rollout, that is not something that we will wait for and come later. That'll be a part of what comes by the end of October 2020. Our plan is to roll out to all plans, enterprise, education, and government clouds. So Harini, let's see some of this magic in the context of Teams.
Absolutely. So we saw a lot of folks asking about how lists will work with inside of Teams, and I have a demo for you. So as you can see, this is I am inside a team called Microsoft List PM team. I'm in this channel. In order to add a list to this team, I can go ahead and I can click on the Add a tab. And you will see the list app show up right there. I can click on it and go ahead and create my list tab. Once you get into this state, you have two options. One, you can create a brand new list, the same flow that I showed you on the Lists app is also available within the Teams app. But you can also pin a list that you already have and you've already created. It could be in this particular team or in a different team as well. I'll go ahead and show you the create a list flow. Go ahead and click it. As you can see, the exact same view that you saw, the capability to create a blank list from Excel and from existing, and then the 8 templates. But within Teams, we also have 3 industry-specific templates for managing your incidents, patients app, and also a loan management template. So I'll go ahead and choose the patients template. The exact same view that you saw, as soon as I click into the template, you will see what comes with this template, what is the schema, what is the formatting that comes with it. I can go ahead and then use the template. I'll say patients. And as usual, it comes with a predefined color and icon, and I can click on create. And just like that, you have a new list created within Teams. I can switch between the posts in this channel, or I can go back to the list. It's right there. To add an item, I'll follow the same flow. I can go ahead and say, just add a few items here so we can see this within the Teams app. I don't know if there's anything else. I'll go ahead and save this, and there you go. You have a new item added in. It has all of the formatting associated with it. One of the cool things that also comes with this is that I don't know if that is available right now. It's something that is going to roll out soon, but yeah, this is the List app within the Teams within Teams.
Very cool. And so when you are in a list in Teams, you also have that ability to chat alongside the Teams icon. If you click into an item, and if you want to share it, you can @mention people.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah, sorry.
I'm going ahead and showing it. So I can go ahead and say, oh, Miceile is not in this team. Maybe I should add you, Miceile. And I can go ahead and chat, and I can @mention someone here. Once I do this actually shows up within the post. So when I go back to the channel, everyone will have a view into this. And the comment that I made is right there. I can click on this chiclet that you see to go back and view the list item as it's available within this team. And the conversation kind of lives right next to it as well. And you can do this for any of the list items within this list.
Excellent. That's great. I think I hope that everybody has seen throughout the breadth of the presentation. Harini showed you a great list experience for Microsoft 365 to get started with ready-made templates and to start using them within your team. As you saw, that new Lists app for Teams. Point of clarity, that is something that's not yet rolled out. That's something that we're planning to begin rollout by the end of August. You also saw Miceile really then make the list your own to give it its smarts, its look and feel, so that it works for you with formatting, with the views, and to make it so that everything that the team is working on is to make it so not only is it functional, but it's fast. You saw a lot of the new quick edit experience is really fast and performant. And of course, you saw with Checks all the flexibility that you can bring to then really programmatically make the list work for you on the back end by adding rules, by customizing the look and feel of the form, and then taking it even further with the Power Platform to design and customize to the exact needs of what you're looking for. There's a lot of questions that we hope we got to a little bit during this presentation. We do want to call attention to what we're doing next, which is the Lists AMA. That starts in about 5 minutes. And there's a short link here. If you go to aka.ms/Microsoft Lists AMA, That will take you to where you can ask questions, you can review other people's questions. Of course, we'll have a whole team of people providing answers. Similar to today, we'll make sure that every question gets answered, and it's something you can come back to. If you can't make it between 10 and 11 Pacific time, you can always come back and check in on the questions and answers. We do have a resource center, aka.ms/mslists. This is a place where you can find links to videos, blogs, demos. There's a few customer stories, a lot of information in the resource center. We have a recent blog that we posted that pulls together all the great work that the team is doing to showcase and highlight how we're rolling out. There's a frequently asked question around rollout that's a little bit more in detail in the FAQs in this blog. But it also has a lot of additional links to information to go learn more. And as we start to roll out documentation, we'll be updating this and, of course, the Resource Center. And then finally, Miceile, who you saw today give a portion of the demo, put together for the initial release and launch a really great 15-minute end-to-end video. If you want to view it to catch up on what you saw today or share it with other people, either this webinar when it is on demand or this demo video is a really great asset to see Microsoft Lists end-to-end. And especially for our SharePoint customers that have been using SharePoint Lists, it really showcases that evolution of how the team is building on SharePoint Lists and presenting to you Microsoft Lists, the new Lists app experience in Teams, and of course, furthering the integration with the Power Platform. So I want to give a shout out and a quick thanks to Harini, Miceile, and Chax. Wonderful to see and to hear from them. They are the folks behind the scenes working with a lot of developers that are making this possible, and really excited to begin to roll out and start the release of Microsoft Lists. So with that, we want to thank you for your time. We want to thank you for your eyes and ears and questions, and to continue to make sure you get your questions answered. We'll meet you over at the Microsoft Lists AMA. Thank you.